would love to welcome you all to our fantastic closing. I am so grateful for this past year. Something that came out in Tony's last session made me do the math, nod to you, Mike, and it has been 100 hours on Zoom for me. And I have loved every one of them because you have been here. So things to share. First, legalities. Next, just information. Hey, if you've had fun, we're not going to turn any money away. Just let you know. So I'm just saying, you could totally do that. It's super easy. You just have to text to this number, and bonus, it makes Jamie in the office do things. So she needs stuff to do, people.
You're so good to me, Beth.
You're welcome. Also, please feel free to tag us on stuff. We love it. You know, Tony Belani always says, click like and follow. So this is how you find us. Keep in touch. We've had such a great 3 weeks, but it's not over. We want to be in touch with you people all year. And this is a great place to find us. So now we've got a little walk through the past. Join me for the next 5 minutes.
When we first started, I think we just had maybe 25 people to get together. We came in not knowing if we were going to succeed or not. But then as the work spread, then, you know, it started to grow. Any country that you could put your finger on, they represent. And that's what's really important, to spread the word, not only here, but to help other people as well.
So I would love people to come to CPSI and see what is that thing that needs to be shaken loose in their lives. What is the gift they can give to themselves by taking that time out? What is the gift they can give to their company, their business, to taking that time to stepping out and learning how to grapple with challenge better, work with others better, so they can go back home and jet forward.
You're done.
When we first started, I think
where it can go.
The conference is really designed to walk people through and to gain an understanding of the creative problem-solving process. How do we clarify what the problem is that we're working on? How do we generate ideas or ideate about the problem that we're working on? Then how do we develop the idea into a workable solution? And then how do we actually execute? So we have a curriculum that we developed that starts beginners in our springboard, and we have other core classes that can help you learn how to facilitate and train creative problem solving, because our goal is to advance it out into the world. Conference.
This is why we need you.
You meet a lot of really interesting people with interesting perspectives that help you take a step back from the problems that you're facing and see how, in the big picture of life and your community and other things that are happening around you, how what you're doing fits in with that. So then you can impact not only that problem and what you're working on, but see if there's other reach that you can, impact further outside the walls.
Every aspect of life, this will help me.
And finally, who will be here?
I say when people come here, they're definitely coming to learn something. They go to workshops, they go to classes, and they learn stuff. But they also learn things in different ways, which I think disrupts how we look at wisdom, how we look at training. So people come here and do real work. I mean, they're pretty tired by the end of the week, but they laugh a lot. And they meet a whole lot of other people who are on the same journey. And that is, you kind of find that you're not alone, that you're seeking something, you're seeking to do more with your life.
This is like the ultimate deferred judgment land. So you might see people walking around here with wings on, a ball on top of their head. This is a place to get weirded out. I like to call it the island of misfits in the summer.
So this is something that I want to share because it was amazing. This is a comment that Marta made in the last session. You can see at 11:37. So drum roll, please. You've seen CPSI in the past. You've seen CPSI virtually. Next year, you're going to see CPSI connecting. Woo! Which probably will mean hugs.
This is where we need that Zoom confetti.
Right? So we're super looking forward to CPSI 2022. And we're super grateful for the people who have been with us this past year, for our sponsors and our partners. I am going to turn this back now to Chris, because we've got some other pickles that we're going to do about that.
All right, I am not muted anymore. And welcome to the second pickles question that we have for you. If you guys still have the pickles activity open on your phone, all you need to do is just hit done and draw again. It'll be the two green buttons in the bottom corner of your phone or your tablet, whatever you're using. And the question that we have for you here is, with the theme being grow, how did you grow at CPSI this year? What are some of those ways that you grew? And if you are just joining as well, you can take out your phone and point it at the QR code that you see on the screen right there. That'll drop a link down from the top of your screen, and you can just click that and start drawing shortly after. It'll just pop right up. I love it. We've got these light bulbs coming in. We've got a lot of love as well. Our hearts are growing and are becoming more and more full. It is so cool to see. We have got, who could this be? Beth, I don't think this one is you. I think maybe we've got
Deb Williams.
Deb Williams. Yeah. Is that a tear coming out? Was there a sad Deb? I don't know.
It was beauty.
Emotional.
It was beauty.
From the last session.
Yep, emotional.
Keeping it real.
Keeping it real.
Keeping it real. That's what it's all about. So cool. Wow, a lot of trees as well. I think that came from maybe the tree session. We've got some beautiful, beautiful landscapes coming in here. I don't know if that's a potato falling on a tree coming out of the sky. But yeah, lots of growth. Awesome. This heart is now springing, and there's flowers growing in it. So cool. The little heart growing to a bigger one, which, yeah, this community is just so special, and it's so cool to see just all of the love that everyone is sharing here. I'm gonna try and select one of those. Yeah, we've got the love there, and then brain plus heart grew 10x. Maybe someone was a Grinch when they came in here, and they leveled up everything. So cool to see. Oh man, I love this. I think this is one of the cool parts of the the platform is that you don't need to be a good artist to express yourself. Like just this kind of hand coming out, offering.
I'm sorry, are you making a comment on my artistic capabilities? You know, you haven't seen my hand.
Is your thumb okay? Just want to make sure it's not about to come off there. So cool. We've got the tools. We've got some beautiful conversations that are electric as they're, yeah, looks like they're charged around the side of them. We've got, yeah, 2020, 2021, the smiles, the love, getting out of my box. So cool. Just the connections, the time. Looks like it's 2:35. I don't know what the significance of that is, but yeah, this is
I like that the clock goes to 14. Also, whoever has those 2 extra hours, could you
yeah.
share where you got them?
Yeah, people running, and we've got the brains that are also yeah, expanding. Just feeling, I'm just getting such positive feelings from all of this, like the rainbows, the love, the connection, the we're feeling like a little speckled star out there. It's this is so cool. And yeah, with it being virtual, obviously we can all be tuned in from around the world. So just kind of feeling that love around the world is so cool. Also, some of us grew our noses and got much larger noses, perhaps.
Oh, that's from a session. That's great. Who did that?
Oh, was it the session on how to draw?
It was the cartooning session.
Okay, with like the little sixes as eyes.
Yeah.
So cool. Putting that into good use already. I love it. People are learning here, and also yeah, doing it. We've got another cartoon coming in here with a strong chin.
That's Ed drawing, I bet, right?
I love it. Oh, someone didn't like it. Oh no. See, this is what it's all about. You just gotta hit done and draw again. Don't erase, don't delete anything. Just yeah, just keep on creating. That's what this group. There we go.
Yeah.
Strong chin man back. Whew.
Nice.
Don't want to lose him. But yeah, the mind, it's so cool. The typey bits, the knowledge, the growing, so cool. So I'm gonna jump to the next question, the last question, the last pickles activity that we have for CPSI 2021. And since it is all about connections coming up, again, all you need to do is hit done and draw again to start drawing here. So it'll be the little green button. You can finish up your drawing, and don't worry, these aren't going anywhere. You'll be seeing them in emails coming in the future. You'll see them in different content that we create. But to answer this last question, again, just hit done and draw again. And let's think about the next 2022 when we're actually going to be making eye contact with eyes and not cameras. Oh my God, what is that going to be like? So the question for you, what connections do you want to make in the coming year? And oh man, this is already a beautiful road stretching into the sun. So cool. Yeah, if you guys just want to have fun and draw whatever you want, like you guys are blowing my mind with some of these drawings. I've never seen a purple world before, but what if our oceans were purple? Who knows? That could be pretty cool. Might taste better. Little grape oceans. So yeah, I love it. We've got the Zoom rooms with what looks to be perhaps a smile.
That's me. Yeah, sorry, that's me. That's me hugging all the people I see on the screen now in person.
Oh, I
next
love it.
year.
That's your arm reaching around and
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That is so cool. I love it. Yeah, and if anyone wants to describe their drawings as well, when it's promoted, that is your turn to take the floor and describe it. I'm also happy to just keep talking and guessing as I try and interpret what these drawings are. So yeah, making these connections between people. We've got the light bulbs, the smiles, and is that a bridge underneath? I don't know if that's like a lightning bolt coming down there. I don't know. This one is interesting, but yeah, this one's super cool. Making those connections heart to heart. Yeah, not necessarily just brain to brain, but yeah, really.
Absolutely. That one's mine. Love it.
Nice.
Heart to heart connections.
So cool, Renee. I love it.
Mine with the sun was a brighter future for everybody. Straighter roads and brighter future.
That's beautiful. So cool. Interesting. We've got, looks like a lot of different shapes, different people. I'm interpreting this as just making connections outside of your comfort zone. You're that circle and you want to connect with some triangles. You need some dodecahedrons in your life. You want some, yeah, pentagons perhaps. Who knows? We need everyone here. That's you get all the shapes. So cool just seeing all of these different ways, and you are definitely making the marketing department's job a little bit easier because hey, we've already got now 30, 40 different logos that we can use as we're going to be promoting all of these. I think this is a connection that looks like a coronavirus, but yeah, and just having being able to see each other in person, being able to share our thoughts with each other, have those heart connections, that novelty mindset, and looks like those awkward hugs as well. Just the hands. I know it'll take a while to become comfortable actually fully hugging people. So yeah, we'll start with just hand hugs. we can get good at those when we're all meeting up in person again.
It's Mike and Deb dancing.
Yeah. What was this your dancer? Because I'm expecting a lot of these maybe walking like an Egyptian.
That may or may not have been me in the blue morph suit.
So cool. But yeah, I just love to just see all of the color exploding onto the screen and coming out of you guys and sharing that. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for doing this, for getting vulnerable, for expressing your creativity. Obviously, you're the perfect group to be doing that, but it is obviously a little bit scary when someone asks you to draw and it's not your forte. Some of you, obviously, it might be, but this is just so cool to see the love, see the hugs, see the ideas, see these the cotton candy.
Yeah.
Cotton candy champagne, baby.
Oh,
It's a new flavor of cotton candy.
We've got to have
secret
that
thing.
We've got to have that.
Somebody's got to make that happen.
I'm working on the pricing. Just hang tight. I've already looked into it for the number of people. We're talking about $1,000 roughly. So if anybody wants to co-sponsor, talk to me.
So cool. All right. Well, yeah, drop your information in the chat so we can get the ball rolling on the champagne cotton candy. This needs to happen. But so cool. I just want to thank you guys for getting vulnerable for drawing here, and yeah, this was a lot of fun. And stay tuned to see what we do with all of your art coming up in the next couple weeks, because it'll definitely be resurfacing. But how? You'll have to stay tuned to find out. So I'm going to kick it back to Beth, and thank you all. This was super fun.
Thank you so much, Chris. Drop your email in there. Everybody reach out to Chris. This is super, now. This is super fun to do with groups. And you can even do it in person too. It's not just for virtual anymore. That's a thing that we're going to be saying. So next is our closing keynote. I want to introduce, it's my great pleasure to introduce Cherri, who you all know, she's presented already. Cherri is an EVP of Growth for Seed Strategy. Oh, that worked so well. That was not intended either. One of Cherri's main strengths is pulling insights and ideas out of teams to help them solve challenges collaboratively, using skills she has honed over the years from her longtime relationship with the Creative Problem Solving Institute and her background in improv via the Second City fellow alum. Cherri has led hundreds of teams to co-create paths to grow, brand positioning, brand purpose, and innovation pipelines. While Cherri's approach feels spontaneous, she has a very disciplined process that leverages a variety of tools to stretch team thinking while still having a laugh or two along the way. But that's not all. Cherri comes with a +1. Corey is here too. And Corey is the answer to the riddle few have asked. What do you get when you cross a sensory scientist, a psychologist, and a qualitative specialist? You get Corey. He is a dual citizen of both Burke and Seed, where he is an SVP specializing in consumer behavior and research design. His deep experience designing research to support strategy and innovation blends with a passion for inventing new approaches and tinkering with traditional research methods. All that to say, he's watching what you eat, how you eat it, psychoanalyzing your behaviors, and likely to ask you strange questions. So without anything else more, Cherri and Corey.
Thank you, Beth. Great to be here. So it was just a mere, 2.5 weeks ago that we started CPSI, and with the focus and the theme on growth. And the opening keynote was about accountability to ourselves and each other and others as well. So the next 15 to 20 minutes is specifically going to be about tangible ideas to how we keep growing. And to note for this, it'd be really great if you had a blank page on a notebook or a blank piece of paper and something to write with, because there'll be some things we're going to have you do along the way. Awesome. Yeah, great demonstration, Beth. I appreciate that. So with that, if you want to go to the next slide. Thinking about growth, we want to start by pausing, and over the course of the next 15 minutes, we're going to all create our own personal definition of growth. But when you think about defining something, especially as important and conceptual as growth, there's always lots of ways of doing that and defining something. And the first way, on the next slide, I always literally start here with the trusty handy, now virtual Webster's dictionary and the dictionary definition of a term. Sometimes it feels really off and sometimes they're pretty good. In this case, the process of developing or maturing physically, mentally, or spiritually, that feels pretty good. But we all know, other than, because we are all CPSI alum now, of 1 year or 20 or 30 or 40 years, we all know that other than maybe brain surgery and rocket science, there is not just one single definition to things, right? There's no single right answer. We know and we believe that quantity breeds quality. So we also went to thesaurus.com and dug up some other synonyms for what growth could mean. And here you see a bunch of, oh, not yet, Beth, go back. There's a bunch of other words on what growth could mean. So I want to give you 1 minute to write down, look at these words, and on your piece of paper, write down the word that best rings your bell, resonates with you in terms of growth. And as you begin to ponder your personal definition, pick one of these words, But you know it's CPSI, and I know some of you are asking, but what if none of those words? And I want to come up with my own, then do that as well. But I'm going to give you just a minute to write down a word or short phrase as we start to build out everyone's personal definition of growth. Okay, so keep that up for just a minute, just a bit longer. Beth, I'll give you the next in just a second. Okay. Let's move on to the next slide. Another way of that I think about when I'm trying to define a concept is like what do really smart people think about something, like, you know, like the inventors and the philosophers and the poets and the authors and psychologists and things that are of today and days gone by. What do they think? So I took a look at what some smart people say about growth. So we have some things like first, what on the next slide, so this will be a series here, Beth, of what Benjamin Franklin said. With continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning. We looked at what Yeats, the amazing poet, said. Happiness is neither virtue nor pleasure, nor this thing nor that, but simply growth. We are happy when we're growing. Then we also looked at what a great historical president, John F. Kennedy, said, conformity is the jailer of freedom and the enemy of growth. One more. Oh, there'll be two more. George Eliot. It's never too late to be who you might have been. That doesn't even include the word growth, but it means growth. And by the way, George Eliot, author of the Victorian era in England, was actually Mary Ellen Evers, not George Eliot. So particularly, that was her pen name. And then last but not least, maybe this was my favorite, Virginia Satir. If you don't know her, look her up, Google her. She is considered the godmother of family therapy, and really invented the field, said that you heal a family, you'll heal the world. I love her definition. We need 4 hugs a day for survival, 8 for maintenance, but we need 12 hugs a day for growth. Wow. I mean, I love the precision of that prescription for such a soft idea as CPSI. And we've all been saying it. We're ready to get back to virtual CPSI. And if you haven't had a real CPSI hug, then you haven't lived yet. But before we move off this slide, actually go to the next one, Beth. I want to give you a minute to choose one of these quotes and use the same criteria. Which one feels like it rings your bell? It resonates. It just gets you and your own personal feelings and views and your personal definition of growth. I want to give you a minute to write that quote down word for word, who said it, in your notebook. Okay, so I'll give you a minute to do that. Which one of these? Okay. Hopefully everyone's got their quote written down. So we've got another way next, that there's another way to think about growth, and that is to think about growth as a mindset and your readiness in your mind, your readiness for growth, your readiness for change. And my colleague, Corey, that riddle of a colleague of mine. Whoops, there's that timer. Oops. Corey's job title literally includes the word behavioral change in it. So with that, Corey, why don't you share another way to think about growth?
Thank you. Your timer suggests you're right on time.
Yeah.
So you may be asking, why would someone have behavior change in their job title? And if you can wait a few slides, you'll find out. But no matter how you like to define growth, it is, like Cherri said, it's a mindset, and it is a type of change. those definitions or those thesaurus entries on the first slide. Blooming, blossoming, expanding, these are all types of change, and change isn't always easy. And sometimes we're ready to grow, sometimes we're not. Sometimes we're well aware of opportunities to change and grow, and we run towards them. Other times we might shy away, and sometimes we're aware that growth is critical for survival. Sometimes growth just kind of happens. Well, if you look at the next slide, I've got 3 humans growing rapidly in my household. And so I asked my 7-year-old this question: how ready are you to grow? And he looked at me funny, and his answer was, huh, right now? I'm not very ready. It's not my birthday. Go ahead to the next slide. And you might think that's a pretty unusual question, and you'd be right, and he would agree with you. How ready are you to grow is not something we ask very often, but let's try it out. I want to try something with you called the Readiness to Change Ruler, and I'll give you a little bit more background about it in a moment, but let's try it first and then we'll hear more about it. Think back to 3 weeks ago, or even longer than that, to when you registered for CPSI. Put yourself in that mindset. Think about your definition of growth from a few minutes ago. And if you think back to that moment, I want to know, how ready or willing were you to grow? There's no need to define growth or readiness just yet. Just get a mark down on a ruler like this one.
Oh, wow.
There's
We have
something
live marking.
right here. No, people are actually doing it. I was going to have you use your pad and pencil, but we're doing it. So when we ask this question, we ask people to put a mark on the line, 1 through 9, meaning 1, I'm not very willing at all. I'm not ready at all. 9, meaning I'm totally ready. I'm all in. I'm completely willing. But that's only part of this activity. The beauty of the readiness ruler comes in a couple of follow-up questions. The first being, why wasn't your mark further to the right? Take a moment to reflect on that. The next question, why wasn't your mark further to the left? Reflect on that a minute. Thinking about growth as change in your life is one way to reflect on these opportunities and also to spot them as they approach you in the present. But now I want you to think about today. CPSI is coming to an end. You've attended for 2+ weeks. How ready or willing are you to grow now? You think about that. Think about why your mark is where it is today and where was it previously. Reflect on how your mark may have moved and why it moved.
Going off the chart.
And you can think about those questions again. Why isn't your mark further to the right? Well, because there's no more space to the right is a valid response. Because the next question would be, why isn't your mark further to the left? And I said, well, obviously I'm all in, I'm ready to go. But I want to share with you a little bit more about why this activity works across so many different contexts and why I hope you might use it in the future, in your own life, in your own career, in many different applications. So go ahead to the next slide. The readiness ruler is all about assessing your mindset of behavior change. There's that phrase again, which is in my job title. And implied in all of our definitions of growth is that idea of change. It's growing is going from one state of being to another state of being. That's different in some qualitative way. Perhaps it's better than where you were, whether you're growing up, you're maturing, you're changing jobs, you're taking a course, you're attending a conference. And again, sometimes we're conscious of those opportunities to change and grow. Other times they just kind of happen. And in fact, the entire field of psychology is built around this. And as Beth said in her intro, that's a lot of my background and degrees are in cognitive psychology and behavior change. So in particular, clinical psychology borrows from this notion of cognitive behavioral change. Therapists, clinicians, they help us grow as humans, identifying what might be holding us back from happiness, seizing opportunities to change and grow for the better. And so years ago, in the early days of Seed Strategy, I adapted a tool from clinical psychology, just like this readiness ruler you see in front of you. I applied it to the strategy and the consumer insights work that we do at Seed, because in a therapy setting, it's a really simple way to start a conversation. Clinicians start a conversation with patients about breaking a habit. Maybe you want to stop smoking. Maybe you want to stop binge drinking or self-harm. Often very serious stuff. Now I realized, though the work we do is rarely that serious, we are nevertheless in the business of behavior change. Stop using that brand, come and use my brand. Enter into this category that you've never used before. Stop using that subscription streaming service, come over to mine. We're surrounded by opportunities to change our behaviors every day. And in fact, when we first invented this readiness ruler, we were talking to women who were suffering from some medical symptoms, and they weren't aware that there were solutions for those symptoms. And so this readiness ruler proved a critical way of starting that conversation. So if it's all about change and it's all about reflecting on your own mindset, it really is critical then to think about those follow-up questions, those 2 follow-up questions in what we used to call our 3-question discussion guide are really the ones that lead to golden insights about what we call drivers or barriers to behavior change, the things that motivate me to make a change or the things that get in the way. So when I say, why isn't your mark further to the right? Those barriers are going to start to come out. As you reflect on that, when a decision is in front of you, those are the ways that you'll begin to uncover what's getting in the way. On the other hand, if I say, why isn't your mark further to the left? That's where the language of motivation and willingness comes out. And what are all the things that are really driving you to be interested in that behavior change, to pursue that? In all those ways, when I'm talking to consumers, when I'm interviewing people as a moderator, we begin to communicate what it is about products or services that can change your mindset, that can make you more willing, move you from left to right. In any case, growth is almost always hard to observe, and certainly assessing how ready you are to grow can be just as difficult. And this series of questions can help. You might see an opportunity ahead of you and ask that question of yourself. You may even ask it in hindsight to think about, where was my mind at that time? Why did I choose to change that way? Why didn't I choose to change that way? Now that I see the outcome, can I reflect and understand how ready was I really?
Thanks, Corey. So how ready you were before and now is another great way to reflect on growth, and another tool you can specifically use when, if part of growth is, it probably in your definitions includes change. If you want to go to the next slide, Beth. You know, remember as a kid, getting into, measurement of growth. As a kid, you can buy fancy graphics or giraffes embroidered, but as a kid and as a parent, as a mom, my favorite ways to measure growth was just with a Sharpie and the door jamb, right? And that you just, with glee, as you start to, over the years, see both your handwriting have gotten better. We always let our kids write it themselves, but to go, boy, look how tiny I was back then. And, as a kid, you were excited that you could see your growth. It's how, little Nick Beilstein probably was telling Corey how he measured growth. But how do we measure growth as an adult? So we want to close with an idea that involves a new nightly habit. And it seems like this group, based on everything and the enthusiasm in the chat, that you'd be open to an invitation for a new nightly habit to reflect and measure your growth. So imagine if every night as your head hit the pillow, you took 3 deep breaths. And maybe just for a minute, why don't we actually all do that? Now, just imagine how weird that probably sounded hearing me breathe through the microphone. If every night you took 3 deep breaths and you silently asked yourself, in what 3 ways did I grow today? In what 3 ways did I grow today? And maybe not such a silly question as we started this conversation, because we're all CPSI alum, as we've established, of a year or many. So we all know consciously now that in order to achieve this, coming up with 3 ways you grew today, you are going to have to diverge probably more than 3. It's just naturally how you create a list of 3 is you'll diverge as you reflect and think about maybe ways it'll push you with now your definition. So it's important you keep that piece of paper and keep noodling on your definition, because with your personal definition in mind, thinking of 3 ways that you grew in a day, as you reflect on the day, you'll think of more than 3 and you'll converge until you're happy with your 3. So imagine the gratitude you'll feel as you're falling asleep, admiring and reflecting and appreciating your growth for the day. Imagine doing this for a week, a month, a year, doing this every night until you come to CPSI 2022. Imagine how much your awareness of your daily growth will increase. Imagine how you'll begin to sort in the world for more and more opportunities to grow every day, as that reflection every night is going to feel so good. And imagine how unlimited your potential for growth will be. So on the next slide, Beth, we'd like to close today by inviting you to take a leap from growth, the theme of 2021 CPSI, to growth plus connection, as was shared earlier as the 2022 theme for CPSI. So the way you're going to do that is in 2 tasks. One task needs to be completed by the end of the day today. The second task needs to be completed before you exit this Zoom room. So the first task before the end of the day today, write down 3 growth goals you have that fit your personal definition of growth that you've been noodling here today. And they can be, you define big or small, short to long in terms of how long it'll take you to do it. But by the end of the day, write down 3 growth goals that you have that fit your newly created personal definition. And you may need to keep noodling on that personal definition, but do that before end of day today. The second task before you leave the Zoom room today, before exiting this Zoom, identify a person in the chat that will keep you accountable to your growth goals. Because remember, the opening keynote was about accountability, right? To ourselves and others. And so before you leave this Zoom room, private chat them before you leave. You can do it right now. So I think you all know how to do a private chat in Zoom. And if you don't, we'll make sure you do. And in the private chat to that person, you would say, will you be my growth accountability buddy? My GAB. That was just on the fly, a nickname. My GAB, my growth accountability buddy. Will you be it? If yes, how do I reach you? If you don't know, but imagine these days with LinkedIn, you'd be able to reach anyone. I kind of double dog dare you to reach out to someone on the Zoom chat that you don't even know. Chris talked about vulnerability to more earlier with the drawing. So I double dog dare you to be a little more vulnerable and maybe, take a chance with someone you don't know being your GAB, your growth accountability buddy. So all of this combines accountability, which we learned at the beginning of CPSI to ourselves and others, growth, our 2021 theme, and then connection for 2022. Did you see that? Did you see how that all came together at the end? And Corey and I just want to say again, thank you for the opportunity to share some thoughts on growth. We want to say just grow for it. And I've got one more slide. I would love the hearts on there. One more slide, if you could go to the next slide, Beth. And I wanted to share with everyone that this would have been, if this would have been a real CPSI, this is a dear friend and dear colleague, fine artist, Jeff Johns, who is also employee number 2 at Seed. We're about to reach our 20-year anniversary. He's been there since day one. Jeff painted this for CPSI. He's painted a painting for CPSI based on the theme. He'll be doing a connection painting. He is a fine artist. He does beautiful work. This is a 20 by 20 original. It's got great texture to it. It will be auctioned at the live auction next year. But in the same way Beth said, we'll take, I'm sure Beth Miller and Jamie and Beth would take your money now. If anybody's feeling the love, it is gorgeous. If you can't see the texture, it's really beautiful. I'm sure they'd take an offer anytime. I'm loving the hearts on it. Boy, yeah, annotation. I got to get this for Jeff. He is he bottles up. He is enthusiasm incarnate, and he would love the love on his picture there, and a great artist. So with that, I want to say thank you. Yeah, please get a shot before you forget. And I'll make sure, if I could, 1 second, Beth, I want to get a shot before you take that down. And with that, thank you so much. And let's grow for it. Jeff actually came up with that line, just grow for it.
I 100% approve of any puns that have to do around themes. So yes, I just threw down a gauntlet for Connect. Get your puns ready. Looking at you, Jane Fisher. Speaking of Jane Fisher, I would love to turn the time over to our fantastic MC, Jane Fisher, who will put a little growth button on that.
Well, I also, in the last few minutes there, I did a growth thing in that I selected myself a task, but I also did a growth thing and that I'm delegating to Beth. So we are going to figure out how to, we're noodling on how to figure out a Gab group. We'll figure out some sort of a virtual way to create this accountability sort of conglomerate. Cornucopia of accountability. So, yeah, we'll figure that out. So, hey, everybody put your screen into gallery view, because I didn't, and there was just a giant me looking at me, and that's not necessary on a Thursday. So, now that we have gallery view, I saw that in the chat, some of us were getting the yayas, I believe, as our esteemed leader has described them. So, we got to wiggle some things out. So, those of you that have camera on, if you don't have camera on, play at home. And with your own directions, that's fine. I'm not going to judge. But if you have your camera on, we're going to revisit that game that we played in the beginning, where it is identify the person to your right and to your left on the Zoom screen portal. If you are on the edge and have no one on your left or on your right, go up or down, whichever way it is. But you just have to have two screens touching you, okay? And at all times, under penalty of shame, one of you in the group must be near, one of you must be far, and one of you must be waving. So, are we clear on the directions? Decide who your two people are. Don't you change them, because we know. So you are going to select your two people that are touching you somehow on the screen safely, and you are going to adjust for the near, far wave. And begin. Oh, success. We got it. There you go. So that's a fun little game to play. Remember that it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to play. It just gets people moving a little bit. We're going to also just do another quick movement that we're going to do some virtual high fives. So for those of you of a certain age that remember the Brady Bunch, this is like if the Brady Bunch added another couple families into their community and came on the screen. And you know how they gave each other the knowing looks? Down in the corner and up there. We are going to high five various people around the screen. So they may not be able to know that you're high-fiving them, but they know in their heart, and you know you're high-fiving them, and you also know you're receiving some. So go ahead and just visually play with the idea of you're high-fiving people. Don't whack them on the head. This isn't whack-a-mole. This is, unless I'm not going to judge. Maybe you want it to be. So you're just high-fiving people. It can go into the screen. Oh, I don't got anybody over there. Just high-five your people. All right, so everybody got your high fives in. Well done. Now, I'm a very serious person. Yep. And I have no time for, I have to, hold on, I have to just readjust this for a second here. Feem foom. I have no time for puns or silliness. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. So, I'm going to move this out of the way. And I'm going to go over here. I want to make it go. I can't see it when it does it. Hold on. I want to see it. Hold on. I need to stop my share so I can get it ready to go to... I didn't think straight. Hold on. From beginning. Now I need to get it right. Hold on. My screen share is all wonky. Talk amongst yourselves.
Screen shares become wonky. It's a wonky share.
It's
Willy Wonka.
I'm trying to find the button to do the presenting.
And Wawa.
Yeah.
I just want to share.
With me.
I want to move this down here. There we go. Now I can see it. All right. So, as we know that the CPSI 2021 has had that sort of art flair to it, I want to take you all through a little art gallery. CPSI 2021, Grow, a retrospective. There may be puns ahead. Just warning you.
Warning.
Hello! I'm here to talk about CPSI 2021. This conference was bananas. See, it's grow, it's produce. And it's going to be a theme. It's going to happen. Now, when we started here, we didn't care at all if you were in your sweatpants or in a fancy dress or if you had 2 cats or dogs blocking your screen. We didn't care at all. We thought, this'll be great. Everyone will be together and we'll just have good fun at CPSI. And you rose to the occasion. So let us talk about what we've learned. We've learned things about ourselves and about each other and about possibilities and about constraints and dealing and working within constraints. And we've learned words like divergent and convergent, and that convergence isn't so scary. That's my note to myself, because I'm terrified of convergence, but Kelly made it okay. And it just takes time to grow. It takes water and nutrients and light and heat and energy and space and time. But sometimes you may feel a sense of impatience, that you're not growing as quickly as you'd like, and that things aren't happening as much as you'd like them to. That sense of impatience watches over you, and you think, I don't know what to do when I have all these ideas looping around my head. What do I do? How do I make something of that which I have? How do I take all of these ideas and these wants and these wishes? Should I just cherry pick away to do that? Why no? Because with CPSI, you have proven tools and methods. You can look forward, but also remember where you've been. For the future is yours to create. And remember that one of the most important things is not to judge yourself. Don't squash your ideas before they're ready to grow. Just don't do it. And remember that playfulness is a good thing, so when that ideas and those possibilities and those challenges come before you, play with them like a dog would. A dog finds joy in everything and happiness in something. He has a job to do for sure, but he's also playful. So I have a question for you. Aren't you glad you came to CPSI 2021? We are. And if you're thinking about coming to CPSI 2022, honey, do it. That's all the time they let me have in the wild.
New challenge from now on. It's got to be a pun closing, Jane. That was. Oh. Will you do that next year?
We're gonna need more of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, so much more.
I will remain in your employ, yes.
Oh, Jane is worth a mint.
I think you need a catnap.
before this gets much worse. I have the State of the Union by Beth Miller.
That's a wicked tough act to follow. Thank you, Jane, for making me cry before I have to talk to everybody. That was amazing. I want to just send really deep, grateful thanks to Seed Strategy. Thank you, Cherri. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Jeff, for continuing to invest in CEF and CPSI, not only with sponsorship support, but also with your intellectual and creative capital. I'm so grateful. As I was thinking about what to talk about, I just can't help but think about how challenges really invite opportunities to grow. And that's really what happened with us over the last couple of years when we were faced with coronavirus, and we had most of the income in for CPSI. People had made plans, and we had to face reaching out to everyone and canceling, and what would that mean? And as some of you may know, CPSI provides pretty much all of our operational expenses. So coronavirus put a 6-figure hole in our 6-figure budget. So that was significant. But we felt really strongly that it was really important that if folks needed us to refund their money, that we would. And if they let us, were willing to defer to the next year, that we would. And that we would try to present other programming so folks could still engage their creativity at the most critical time in many of our lives. So, and the thing that we saw was that folks, so many folks donated their registration fees to us. We had our strongest annual fundraising year since my tenure. It was just amazing how generous folks were, and it was great to be able to help them out. So not only was the community there supporting us, the way that the CEF team just said, let's do this. And what we realized is we have been practicing creative problem solving so deeply as part of how we operate with one another as a team. We were really very quickly able to make this pivot from the 60-plus-year-old live conference to a virtual format, which we had never done before. Missy and Beth put in so much work behind the scenes. Jamie's working like crazy, and we all just kind of got together and said, okay, this, break. And then we just did it. And then all of you stepped up. We had everyone's raising their hands to present, and we all came together. And in that moment of challenge, we were able to grow closer and create something new. So one of the results of CPSI Virtual last year is now we have monthly virtual content. It used to be, start planning for CPSI in January, and then it's CPSI, and then crickets from June to December. We have year-round content now. It's amazing. We have big plans for growing that in the coming months, but now we're present with everyone yearly. We're reaching more and more people than ever. So we were growing through these challenges. The other amazing thing that happened is we got so many calls from past partners and new partners asking us to come into their public school, to their business, to meet with them virtually, to teach them how to be more resilient, to teach them to be more creative, to teach them to be more strategic. We've had more training gigs in the past 6 months than we have since I've started working here. We're reaching more and more folks. I got a call back from Stanford Public Schools. They're looking to do even more with us. And we're currently working with the Manchester Essex School District, and have a really big vision for creating a program that we can deploy across public schools in the United States. And we're on that path. And I couldn't, as a first generation student, I couldn't be more excited about how we can bring creativity to education, make more people successful. You may have noticed that we have a new CEF website. Thank you, Buzz Engine. What you may not know is that we have had 22% more website visitors from the second quarter in 2021 to the second quarter from 2020 to 2021. So it's just growing. People are going to the website like mad. Across all of our social media channels in the last 60 days, as compared to the previous 60-day period, we've experienced a 1,097% increase in impressions. That's over 400,000. We've experienced a 233% increase in engagement. So that's likes, comments, and shares. We've also experienced a 443% increase in link clicks from social media. That's over the 2,300. So we're just growing, and the word is getting out, and people are interested in what we're doing. We've seen so many new names come across CPSI registrations this year. It's been amazing. I'm really excited about the fact that on LinkedIn, we've seen marked growth in our followers from Atlanta, Chicago, Los Angeles, and New York, as well as from the United Kingdom, Puerto Rico, France, and Brazil. So we're growing this, the social media presence on LinkedIn is growing across the world. So thrilled about that. I also started counting the number of people who are just signing up for our newsletter and the number of new people that have come to CPSI this year. So to date, we've had 325 new folks signing up for our CEF newsletter and attending CPSI for the first time. These are huge numbers for a small org, and I couldn't be more thrilled with it. So we've stabled and grown enough now to confidently develop a 5-year strategic plan, complete with budget projections, which I've spent a fair amount of time on, that includes some really new and big thinking. So I want you all to stay tuned because I feel very energized to grow into this success that we've had. And the word, when Cherri invited us to write a word down for grow, I wrote down thrive. And this stems from a conversation I had with my good friend, Lindsay Burr, and thinking about the polarity between survive and thrive. And when I first came here, we were in survive mode. And she invited me to switch to the other polarity, to thrive. She says, I think you've been in survive for too long and it's time to thrive. Everything is there for us to thrive, and I'm ready. And I'm ready to have you all with me on that journey. So sometimes in our moments of restriction and challenge and hardship, it becomes like a fertilizer. And we really need to ask, what have I got to lose? And it's at that moment that we throw open the doors of creativity and possibility. And I hope the challenges of the last year have culminated in positive growth for all of you. And I thank you for making CPSI what it is. We wouldn't exist without you and your desire to grow. And I can't wait to see you all in person next year. And I really, really wish I could announce the dates. I harangued UB daily. I don't have them, but I do have plans to send Beth in with cookies in the coming weeks to start bribing them to get the dates. Their calendar's still a little uncertain, but CPSI Live will happen. It will be in a place, and I will tell you all as soon as I know. So thank you all very much. Thank you for making CPSI what it is. Very grateful to you.
Thank you so much, Beth. Excuse me. One last thing before we go. It's another PowerPoint for me. So first, Missy and Beth and Jamie and Lael and I, we would love to thank these people. The CPSI is, our favorite thing to do. But if we didn't have these people doing the presenting, it wouldn't be as fun. So we thank you so much to these awesome, wonderful, informative, fantastic presenters. This year, Missy and I last year were making the joke that normally at CPSI we don't go to any sessions, and then last year and this year we've been at all of them. And you take the proposals and you read through and you're like, this sounds good. But so we've been able to be so amazed at what has actually happened from the proposal to that. And you all, like, fantastic. Of course, my favorite people in the world are Wings, and these people made the conference happen. Starting last year, we had a Wing meeting the day we announced that CPSI was going virtual, and they're all like, we still want to be a part. And so they're like, we want to be the producers. And they were, and there's so much behind the scene tap dancing that they've been doing that has been wonderful. And I make them come to early morning meetings every single day so that I know we're all set for the day. And they have done it. I want to say cheerfully, they may have been cursing me. I don't know, but they didn't let me hear it. And as most of you know, my partner in crime, Missy, has been heartbroken that she's been a little brain broken this year. And Zoom has been probably the worst thing that she could possibly do for her vision. So just so you know, to make one Missy, it takes 3 fantastic special people. And we reached out to Jane and Mike and Ray, and right away they were like, yeah, what am I doing? Taking vacation days, checking in with me all the time, logging in and attending so many sessions and doing so many behind the scene work to be Missy. And then kind of our unsung hero a little bit, because she doesn't love group hugs and all the attention, but Jamie has done all of the registration handling and the link sending and the sched loading. She has been wonderful. But the best part of this conference has been you guys. Thank you so much for showing up and commenting and sharing thoughts and ideas and book links and places to look and making drawings and waving hands and blowing hearts. It has been fantastic. Some fun memories that we've shared. What happens in the Chevron bathroom stays in the Chevron bathroom. This meeting is being recorded. Hashtag Teamboat, 6-legged spiders. It's been so much like, ooh, spiders. Not so much. That wine with the fruit in it. Typey bits. Hey, Corona. All of these things. Shout out to Ray who put this together, building on Jeff's artwork and things that we've said or done, and the metaphorical secret handshakes of the mind. So from all of us, thank you so much. You have made CPSI 21 one to go down in the record books. Also, thank you, Pickles. This has been such a fun addition. So just like Beth said, fun doesn't stop. We've got this coming up. You can find these all on creativeeducationfoundation.org and join us for virtual CPSI Foundations. And we'll see you in 22.